Welcome to the Model Frontier. We're here today with Pack 11 of Agora models Build the RMS Titanic. If you're new to the channel, make sure to smash that subscribe button and ring that notification bell. That way you don't miss a second of any of my great content. So, last issue, we did a lot of work on some of the structures for the boat deck, and pretty much that was it. We just built a couple of the structures and are getting ready to start adding them to our deck. Today we're going to do more of the same thing. We're going to build a couple more structures. We got the final funnel to do. But then we're going to have some fun and start actually adding this stuff to the boat deck. So, lots to do in this issue. And I don't want to keep you waiting any longer than I have to. Before we go on, though, we do got to answer the Titanic trivia question from last issue. To refresh your memory, last time we ended with approximately how many people could the first class dining saloon accommodate? Was it A, 400, B, 450, or was it C, 550 people? And the answer is it could accommodate approximately 550 people. So that's a lot of people it could hold. And with that, guys, you ready to get back to Titanic? So we're here at the start of stage 57 and the start of pack 11, and we obviously are going to do the fourth and final funnel. Before we get to that, though, your first Titanic trivia question, we're going to do a true-false because we haven't had one of those in a while. So true or false, J. Bruce Ismay resided at the Watergate Hotel in Washington, D.C. during the American Inquiry. It's a true-false question, and you'll get your answer at the end of stage 58. So we're going to take a look at the fourth funnel of the Titanic, and obviously, you know, the steps are similar. Putting it together, putting all the, screwing the funnel part in, putting all the ladders and things in. But one thing you will notice is that this bottom isn't hollow. There's no hole in it. That's because the fourth funnel actually didn't expel any steam. If you want to think of it this way, the first three funnels, I'll put up something here to show you. The first three funnels led right from the boiler rooms, but the fourth funnel actually led up from the engine rooms. So even though it let out some steam, it didn't let out the smoke like the others did. So because of that, it's considered the fake funnel. But there is some stuff we gotta do with this, so once you get it together, you're gonna need this piece, which is gonna sit inside of the funnel here. It is very tricky to get this in. You basically want to get these points, I don't know if you can see those, but you want to get these cutouts into the pegs that are way down in there. So it's a very tricky fit to get in there, but once you figure it out, it'll just eventually sit in there. And then, of course, we're going to take the top of the funnel and you're going to put it on top. Now, unlike the other three funnels, this has some details on it. The detailed sections go towards the back of the funnel. And they recommend you just kind of tape that down there to hold it into place. But even now, I know you're expecting me to say, and that's all there is to do in this stage, but there isn't. There's one more thing we're going to do. We're going to need this housing that we assembled, back in issue 56. And naturally, we're going to fit the fourth funnel onto its base. You might want to take out this top part for this. We're going to hold it into place with a pair of AP screws. There we go. And once that's all done, that is all there is to do in this stage. So here we are at stage 58, and it's going to deal a lot with this section here, which is the roof over the first class smoking room. Now, we're going to do something to this to modify it a little bit. Kind of like when we did the room over the first class lounge. We're going to put, you've got these clear window sections here that we're actually going to put windows into. But I've found a shortcut way to do this that's going to make everyone's life a lot easier. And I'm going to share that shortcut with you now. So the first thing you're going to want to do is create yourself a template for all your windows. The key thing is to make sure you have the one side flat. Then you're going to tape that like this to a sheet of clear plastic. Just like that. Now, you're going to use the windows like these from the KA kit. Now, with these windows, it's very important to cut them out right. Especially, again, this bottom one. Just take a nice sharp blade. Take your time and make small incisions. Once you get two of them cut out at a time, use a different blade or use the same one and just try to go straight down. Now keep in mind this is a thicker plastic, so it might take a couple of tries, and try to get as close to the corner as you can on these. Once you got your window out, grab it with your tweezers. Put some glue and grab it as close to an edge as you can with your tweezers, like kind of like this. We're going to put our glue on. Just like that. And then you glue the window over your template. Again, don't worry so much if it matches the template fully. It's the bottom edge, you want that nice and straight. You're going to repeat this 3 more times for each set of windows. So you're going to need to do this a total of 16 times. So go put your next 4 on, and I'll meet you back here. So just like that. Once you got those all in place and super glued down, we can take our template tape off. And now we want to cut these out. Now, when you cut them, you want to give a little extra space on the outer parts, on the outer wings. So you end up with something like this. And now, I'm pretty sure you can figure out what we're going to do here. We're going to put just a little bit of glue on each of the wings. Not on the side you were gluing the pieces to, but on the opposite side, the flat side. Not the side where they're sticking up. We're going to take our tweezers and we're going to put all 4 windows right in the thing here. Just like that. Now all 4 of those have their windows in place. And then, of course, you got to put frames on them. There's 16 frames there's 16 frames in this. In the KA set, they are labeled B7. It's going to be tough to show it to you. Maybe if I move that. So basically, these windows here, and again, you need 16 of them. So I'm going to go put the last 4 I need to do on, and I'll meet you back here. Just like that, there you go. Now, this part really doesn't add too much, but it just gives it a little extra oomph on the detail side. And you can see I've already got it on both sides. So now, we're gonna go start working on the instructions. And obviously, we're gonna put on a piece of wood decking. So we're gonna take a minute to make sure it all fits good. And then just like always, we're going to take our wood glue and we're going to paint the glue onto the board here, onto the piece. And as always, we peel back our covering on the glue, the built-in glue for our wood decking. And again, I do recommend doing this whether or not you're doing the modified build. I always recommend doing this. And then we're going to start at the back. I'll try to line everything up. I'm going to flatten it all down. Just like that. Now obviously you can tell we got some parts we got to put into here. The first one we're going to do is T11. And it's going to slip in right here. And how it goes in is there's one of the T's has a little square above it. That one goes towards the front here. You're looking at the instructions, the KA instructions. This goes towards the front. Then you have S24, which has a T and a circle on it. And that goes in here with the circle facing forward. Just like that. And then lastly, you've got T21, which is a T with a small square on it. And you want the smaller square, the small square section, pointing towards the back. Just like that. So with all those in place, now we got some, obviously we're going to have some vents to put on here. So first we're going to put on vent 58F, which is this vent. It's labeled V9, V09 on your KA set. And it's going to fit into this section here with the small square T. Again, the opening points towards the stern. And you just follow the shape like that. And we got another vent, which is labeled 58H or V16 if you're using the upgrades. And that's going to go into this one, again with the circle, with the opening facing the stern. Just like that. Now next we have part 58E, which with the K set is W10. It looks like this. And if we look at our thing the way the instructions say, it's going to go right here. And as always with these, it's just a simple matter of matching up your shapes. Just like that. And then lastly, we got 58G, which is W6, which looks similar. It's going to go on this side. Just like that. Now the rest of this stage, there's really nothing for us to do because it calls for you to put benches in, which we're not doing till later on in the build for obvious reasons. And it also tells you to put a piece of wood on the back of your boat deck, which again, because of us using the KA set, we don't need to do. So with that, that ends this stage. And the answer to your Titanic trivia question, so true or false, J. Bruce Ismay resided at the Watergate Hotel in Washington, D.C. during the American Inquiry. And that answer is, it was false. He actually stayed at the Willard, not the Watergate Hotel. So stage 59 technically begins with doing lifeboats, but since we're using the KA set, we're going to skip that and go on to the next section, which is basically adding some more details to the middle section of the ship right here. But before we do that, if you remember last issue, we briefly talked about the boiler room worker Jay Dawson. Unfortunately, he did not survive the sinking of the Titanic. In what Canadian city is his grave located? Is it A, Sydney, B, Toronto, or C, Halifax? The answer to that question will come at the end of stage 60. So the first piece they want us to put on is a vent that that is this shape. It is labeled 59H in the stock kit, or if you're using the KA set, it is V14. At this stage, you know exactly what to do. We spread our glue onto it, and then you're just going to put it into position following the shape on the plate right there. Just like that. Now, the next piece is a cowl, and this one's labeled 59J in the stock kit or V08 on the KA set, and it looks like this. It's a longer cowling with a very thin bottom. And that's going to go right here. As always, with the bulb, with the open end of the bulb facing towards the stern. Just like that. Now we're next going to go a bit aft to this point here and put on 59I or part V09, which is a longer cowling vent like this. And again, we're going to spread our glue on it and then put it with the bulb facing towards the stern again. Just like that. Now, technically next, they want us to put together davits and add them to the back of the ship, but we're actually going to skip that for now, and we're going to do that at the end, because we have a few things to do on the underside of the ship still in this pack, and it will just be easier to do if we're not messing with making sure we don't break any davits. So for now, that is all there is to do in this stage. So for stage 60, we're going to start with the entrance to the second class area. So this is an entrance on the back of the ship that goes to the second class entryway. Not a whole lot to modify on it, but we did do some mods. I actually already glazed my windows. I've shown you how to do that. Put in my light bleed solution and my fiber optic lights, so they're all in place. So the first thing they want us to do is put on windows. Now, I know last time I said that the windows that the KA set says to use are way too big, and that is still true, but I found that the windows, but I think they maybe made a mistake on that, because I find that the windows on the Windows A12 are actually the perfect size. So we're going to put in 7 A12 windows all around the entrance, and it's just the same as always. We're going to put the glue on the inside on the part and then put the window on. So go do that, and I'll meet you back here. It's just like that. We got all 7 of our windows framed, including that one in the middle, which was a bit of a pain because the tweezers, you had to really kind of, like, you couldn't go at it from the side. You had to really grab it from the bottom and kind of just shove it in there. So the tweezers made that a little tricky. Next, we got to put the 2 vent covers in. So this should be simple enough. As always, we're just going to spread a bit of glue along the edges, which you can clearly see there. And also this time, the KA vents will work, so we'll use those. And there you go. Just like that, the vents are in place. Next, we got to put the wings on this. Now, I've done a lot of the prep work on it because I'm using the KA set. So I already put my wood on. I already put the ladder in and everything because I'm using the KA set. You can, this part you could use either or. Just make sure that if you use the stock set, you know, just get that little extra detail with the ladder in. You put the ladder, you get the ladder on right. And the wings, are going to go... So this wing is going to go on this side here. No. So the curves of the wing go towards the back and the ladders go towards the front. So you're just going to match them up to your rim. And we're going to glue these into place. I'm going to do that off camera though because this is a fiddly piece of work. So I'm going to do this off camera and then I'm going to show you what it looks like at the end. And there we go. It should look like that. Now, like I said, I already glued my wood down, so we don't have to mess with that. But it should look like that. Next, you're going to put on your wooden top. And you're going to have to make this if you're using the KA set. This does not come in the KA kit. And unlike other stuff, I'm not really going to put I'm not going to spread wood glue down. We are just going to push it into place here. It's important to make sure we get those two pegs through these holes. There you go, just like that. Now, the next thing we're going to need is this little housing on top. This is actually the engines for the elevator that was inside of this. You'll see you got two holes for two pegs, and it can only go in one way. It is a very tight fit, so I don't think we're going to need to glue anything in. You can, of course, if you want. But like I said, I don't think you're going to need to. So once you got that in place, we'll go on to the next step. So now the last thing we're going to do in this section is we've got to put these two vents on either side here. And I've marked on my thing where the vents are going to go. Just put a little... Use whatever method you want to use to mark them, but just make sure you know where they go. And as always, we're just going to dip the part in and glue it down. So there we go, just like that. Once you're satisfied with that, technically there's a little more to do in the instructions. That says we're gonna just put some more benches into place, but as I've said before, we're not doing benches because we've got something special in store for that. So that is how we're gonna leave stage 60. But before we do, if you remember, we talked last Titanic trivia question. We asked, in what Canadian city is the grave of Titanic victim Jay Dawson? Was he buried in Sydney, Toronto, or Halifax? And if you weren't able to figure it out, he was buried in C, Halifax. That's where Jay Dawson, of the boiler room worker on the Titanic, is currently buried. So here at the start of stage 61, we're going to actually begin putting these deck housings that we've been working on onto our boat deck. Before we begin, though, your next Titanic trivia question is, what was the name of White Star's only paddle steamer? That was a tender vessel they had at Cherbourg. Was it A, the Wanderer, B, the Gaelic, or C, the Celtic Mist? The answer to that question will be brought to you at the end of stage 62. So there's a lot of stuff that the instructions say that we're going to skip over a little bit. They want you to put some light blocking pads on top of this light and the light under the under the next deck house up, but because we're using fiber optics to do the lighting on these, I'm not going to do that. They also tell you to do the light bleed stickers, but I do the paint, so we don't need to do that either. So we're going to start off by putting on the second class entrance right where it goes, and it's a very tight squeeze to get it in there. Just like that. Even though it is a tight squeeze, they still want you to screw it down. Now they say to use a pair of the HP screws, but for some reason that doesn't sit right with me, because that means there's one hole that doesn't get a screw in it at all. So, you know, do what the instructions say or do your own thing, but I'm going to put 3 HP screws into that section just to make sure it stays down for good. And if you didn't do the smart thing and did decide to put in your davits for the front section already, then I highly advise you to be very careful with this. Because I was the dumb one who did that. And if you're using the upgrades, the China 3D ones, they will snap off. Oh, well that's why they tell you not to use a screw, because there's no screw hole to put it in. So yeah, you would only use the 2 HP screws. And it should look just like that. Now, we're going to move on to the next section, which will be this piece right here. So to start with, you need your 4th funnel, which is attached to the deck housing. And we are going, now, again, it says to do the light bleed, but we've already done that. You know, I've already got my 1 things on there. So now, once we got all that done, we're going to grab this section, and we're going to feed the wire through this middle part here. And we're going to join the 2 decks together. And then we're going to hold them together with 4 AP screws. So there we go, just like that, we got all 4 screws into place. Next, we're going to feed the wire through on the boat deck through this hole here. This is going to be tricky to show. So we're feeding it through right here like this. Now, they tell you to plug this in first. I'm telling you right now to screw it down first. And you're going to do that with 6 more of the AP screws. And there we go. Now that we got that screwed into place, now we're going to plug this cord into spot J2. Just like that. And then if you want to test it, plug your tester board into this spot J3, and it should light the whole board and the top section of your ship. And we're going to carefully set this back down. And then last part of this stage has you just putting on some davits and finishing up some lifeboats. But we're not going to do that because I want to leave the davits off of this until I'm not messing with it anymore. So I'll probably put those on after stage 12. So for right now, that is all we're going to do in this stage. So for the last stage of this build, of this pack, stage 62, we're saying hello to an old friend we haven't seen in a while. Our hull. The first thing they want us to do is they want us to attach this brace to right here. As weird as it sounds, it says to do it with a pair of AP screws. I think they should be AM because we're going into metal, but the instructions do say P, so we're going to go with the instructions on this. There, it's in there, but I don't mind telling you it's not in there with the right screws. So I think Agora maybe made a mistake with this. They might want to look into that and correct it. And then next, we've got a piece of hull that we're just going to add, or keel I should say, which we're going to add here. We're going to secure that down with a pair of IM screws, and these ones I'm sure are correct because that's what we've used elsewhere to do this. And there we go. And as always, we use a little oil to kind of make it easier to get the screws in. And sad to say, that's all there is to do in this stage. And that is all there is to do in the rest of this pack. So to answer your Titanic trivia question, what was the name of the White Star's only paddle steamer, which was a tender vessel they used at Cherbourg? Was it A, the Wanderer, B, the Gaelic, or C, the Celtic Mist? And it was B, the Gaelic. So there you go, that's it for pack 11, and what a lot we did. We actually started putting structures onto our boat deck. We've got all 4 funnels done and completed now, and we're expanding on the hull again, which is great because we haven't seen that thing for quite a long time. So lots more coming in pack 12 though, so just be ready for that. Little sneak peek, we're going to finish putting structures on the boat deck, so you definitely don't want to miss that. Before we leave though, your final Titanic trivia question until pack 12. What was the number of the last lifeboat to be picked up? Was it A, lifeboat number 2, B, boat number 9, or was it C, lifeboat number 12? And of course, that answer will be coming to you next time on the Model Frontier.